Hi y'all, welcome and welcome back. In this video, we'll explore Aristotle's theory of moral responsibility from Book 3 of his Nicomachean Ethics. This was one of the earliest and most influential attempts to explain when it's fair to hold someone morally responsible for their actions. We praise and blame people all the time, for their choices, for their mistakes, for their good deeds. But when is that fair? This question goes to the heart of what it means to be a person. Philosophers, lawmakers, and societies have long debated how to tell the difference between actions that deserve responsibility and those that don't. Aristotle was not only a student of Plato, but one of the most important and influential philosophers in history. His writings shaped ethics, politics, science, and logic for centuries. In ethics, he developed the first systematic theory of moral responsibility. And for Aristotle, the key idea is this: only voluntary actions and choices are subject to praise or blame. Aristotle's central distinction is between voluntary and involuntary actions. Voluntary actions are the ones we can praise or blame. Involuntary actions are excused or sometimes even pitied. Getting this distinction right mattered not only to philosophers, but also to lawmakers trying to decide who deserves punishment or reward. An action is voluntary when it originates in the agent and when the agent knows what they are doing. In other words, you're in control and you're aware. For example, imagine choosing to help a friend who needs support. That's a voluntary act. It comes from you, and you know what you're doing. This is why Aristotle ties moral responsibility to virtue ethics. Our choices reveal our character, and that's why we can be held accountable for them. Involuntary actions fall into two categories. First, compulsion, when the cause is entirely external, like a ship being blown off course by a storm. Second, ignorance of the particulars, for example, giving the wrong medicine by mistake. If the agent regrets the outcome, Aristotle calls it involuntary. If they don't regret it, he calls it non-voluntary. The distinction between intent and accident still shapes law and ethics today. As we just learned, Aristotle also makes room for what he calls non-voluntary actions. These are actions done in ignorance, but without any regret. For example, imagine someone blurts out a secret without realizing it's private. If they feel no remorse afterwards, Aristotle doesn't classify the action as involuntary, but instead calls it non-voluntary. He thought it was important to give this category a special name, since it differs from true involuntary acts, where regret or sorrow is present. This nuance shows Aristotle's careful attention to the complexity of human responsibility. Sometimes actions are what Aristotle calls mixed. Imagine throwing valuable cargo overboard in a storm. No one wants to do it, but in that moment it's chosen as the lesser evil. Aristotle says that such cases are technically voluntary because the agent chooses them at the time. Today, we might think of this as a case with mitigating circumstances. Mitigating circumstances are factors that, while not excusing an action, can lessen the severity of the consequences for the person who committed the act. Aristotle's distinctions between voluntary, involuntary, non-voluntary, and mixed actions still matter. They influence how we think about ethics, about law, and about personal responsibility. Ideas like intent, negligence, and duress, which are central in modern legal systems, all trace back to Aristotle's framework. To recap, Aristotle taught that only voluntary actions deserve praise or blame. Voluntary actions originate in the agent and are done knowingly, and they deserve praise or blame. Involuntary actions happen through compulsion or ignorance, and they come with regret. Non-voluntary actions also happen through ignorance but without regret, so Aristotle treated them as a separate category. Mixed actions are chosen under difficult circumstances, so they count as voluntary in context, though not desirable. Together, these distinctions give us Aristotle's enduring framework for moral responsibility that has shaped law and ethics for centuries. Now it's your turn. Think of a moment in your own life where you made a choice. Was it voluntary, involuntary, non-voluntary, or mixed? How would Aristotle classify it? If you're in my class and you like the MCU, check out the discussion on moral responsibility and the Winter Soldier. Alright y'all, that's all for now. If you're interested in more videos about philosophy and ethics, check out the videos posted on our channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.